Oops, let me just share a link here so that I can follow along. There we go. Make sure I can see it. Oh, come on, quality, let's go. Why is the quality so crappy? Better. All messages. There we go. Much better. Is it 1 o'clock yet? It is 1:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Hello. Let's see. I don't see myself yet. There we are. All right. So there's lag on my computer. You can see I'm watching it here. And there's a delay. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Carl. How you doing? There's, I guess, like a few second delay. So hopefully I got the chat figured out right this time. Anyway, here we go. Got a pile of Polyvisions here. There's the first two. I'm going to look at those first. I honestly have no idea what's wrong with any of them. I just know they were dropped off on a day when I was out, and I need to deal with them. So we're going to deal with them. A few of these I've looked at many years ago. There's a few of these with a silver sticker on it. Those are the ones I know I looked at about 5, 6 years ago, maybe. We had, I don't know, 150, 200, maybe even 400, I forget. But just schools and schools, we just filled up trucks and brought projectors in, cleaned them, and took them back. So, anyway, I'm not going to drone on about that. Let's dig into them. Let's start with this one. Let me get a little bit, yeah, see, the zoom on this is terrible. Well, then this is just the live stream zoom. Is real a pain. All right, forget it. I'm just going to leave it like that. We'll zoom in when we get something interesting to zoom in on. So I'll set that one off to the side with the other ones. Let's get right into this one. Let's see if I can... No. Hey, we'll go with that. That's actually not too bad. Oh, and if your picture is blurry, hit the little setting gear on your screen and set it to 720. Apparently, I can't stream in 1080 because of the Wi-Fi here, which is kind of weird. I'm going to have to look into that. Actually, I'll probably just get a camera that plugs into the computer and not worry about using my phone for this. But yeah, go down to the button, down there, the little gear, click on that, and set that to whatever the highest option you have. Is that any better, G or? Watching the chat. Let's see. Well, probably better. All right, well, let's start with this one. I'm going to pop the cover off. We're just going to take that screw out of the back. And then we'll pop the cover off. I can already tell you just by moving it over here, I could already see things like that. And now that I take the lamp cover off, you can see, pretty dusty. So I'm going to assume that the blower fan in the front here is just impacted with dust, but we'll get to that. To open one of these up is very easy. We have 2 fine thread screws in the front. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller Phillips over there. And Let's see. It's a flat. Let's get, there we are. So we'll take these 4 out. I want to just pop the cover off because I also hear something rattling around inside. We'll pull the lamp assembly out in a moment and see if the lamp assembly ruptured or not. There we go. Ah, appreciate it, Carl. Yeah, I wish I could do 1080 though, you know, because the silly phone will shoot 4K. And I think it'll actually do 8K. But, yeah. I know someday 8K will be low resolution, but right now it's unnecessarily high. But I agree, 720 works most of the time. So let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. We have a lamp assembly that got too hot. This is a really common fault for a lot of DLP projectors when this happens. The vent on the side is open. You know, you can clearly get the glass in and out through there. So what'll happen on some models is that'll explode, and as I run over to my pile of junk, here we go. Alright, so what'll happen is they'll explode. This is out of Optima, I think. So it'll explode and it'll actually throw a chunk of glass inside that fan. And if that glass gets in the right spot, it'll jam it. Like, I can't spin that fan now. And it doesn't take a lot to jam one of these. So a lot of times, just spinning the fan the other direction is enough to knock the glass out. This is real common in BenQ. Anything that takes that 5J, J7L05, the 1070, the 1080, a few others. Also a lot with Optima. Really anything that has, any lamp that has an open hole to a lamp blower fan can throw glass into it. In this case, the way the lamp blower fan is set up, it's not quite as easy. On this one, that's the lamp blower fan. And the actual fan itself is actually over here. It's a long fan. You'll see when we get the top off. But this clearly overheated. One of the ways you can tell, if you look at the side of your lamp, most of them will have some sort of ceramic label on the glass and the bulb there. And if it just crumbles like that, it just falls apart, that got way too hot. These should run their full life and that sticker should never come off. You also shouldn't have discolored metal. I don't know if it's really obvious, but oh, thanks, Colin. I appreciate it. Yeah, it'll be up later, and I guess forever, hopefully, as long as YouTube's around. But this ran way too hot. One of the main failures in lamps is excessive heat. You can have your projector run normally, but if the lamp is running at a slightly higher temperature, its life is going to greatly decrease. And in this case, it just got so hot that the actual arc tube inside exploded. You can kind of see the arc point down the bottom there. So, and you can clearly see the dust all over the front. So, this is no good. I'll have to put another one in. That's fine. So let's see. Those screws are out. That screw's out. I'll get back into here. I apologize if I jump all over the place. I will do my best to keep it coherent, but, you know, it's live. So then the bottom, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. These two may need to come out to get the main board out, so I'll take them out anyway. But usually for cleaning, these two can stay in. But being that the bulb exploded and there was quartz glass everywhere, let's get it all the way apart. And you can clearly see this. I mean, schools, you know? Huh. You know what that smells like? You know what that really smells like? My favorite electronics cleaner spray. Oh yeah, there's end dust all over that. You see how that's all discolored here? That's end dust. These have mounts that go on top of them. Where did I put it? These have brackets that connect them to the smart board mount. You can see this thing here, it slides in. These are used in schools for, like, smart whiteboards. And I guess the cleaners just go in and, I mean, I don't know. I'm of course inferring, but they go in and they just spray end dust near these things because that clearly pulled end dust in and tried to exhaust it through there. I hate end dust. I hate it so much. Anyway, let's get these other screws out. Now the middle one is the only one that's different from the rest. It's extra long. Yeah, they do try. It's this weird thing. The AV guy that works with the district knows that the end dust is no good, tells them not to use it, but they're not there when the cleaning folks come in. So, hey, I guess at least it keeps me busy. I guess it's kind of like the way dentists hate candy. They hate the idea of candy, but they love the money they make off treating people with tooth problems. So it's probably kind of the same thing. So anyway, all those screws are out. Now I should be able to, yep, I can get the top loose. Come on. There we go. And there is a keyboard right there, the connection. So we'll just pop that clip up and the wire comes out. And let's see what kind of delicious carnage is under here. Wow. This is, that's pretty dirty. Got some solid dust there. This one's going to need a vacuuming for sure. Now let's look at the actual projector. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fans. The lamp fan that I was talking about that was a little unusual is this one right here. I do have a couple videos on these PJ 905s. It's a pretty, there's so many of them that the school uses. I've gotten to work on a lot of them. It's one of the reasons I decided to do the live streams, because I know these well enough that I feel comfortable, knock on wood, working on these live. So hopefully I don't ruin anything, and if I do, it'll make a good video. No, it won't. I won't ruin anything. But you can see the fan here. It is spinning, but look at that. Look at all that in there. There's no way that's moving enough air out of that hole. Like, it's spinning. Guarantee it spins. And the RPM lead is telling the projector that yes, it is spinning, but there's no way there's enough CFM coming out of there to keep that lamp cool. That has to blow into here, blow out like, I forget what the actual temperature is, but it's in the hundreds of degrees C. When you get to the actual burner in the middle, it's 700-800 degrees C. And when you get to the actual arc, it's, an electrical arc. They're hot. So the air's got to go in there, get enough of that heat out so that the exhaust fan, this guy, can pull the air through these vents and then duct it out the side. So the air path is in here, which in itself is weird if you think about it. If you look at the space with the cover on, that's pulling in air from this gap here. There's an Optima TH1060, which is almost identical to this inside, also a Vivitech. Delta makes this chassis for a few different configurations, but they all have what I call a design deficiency, where there's just too much of a, or not enough of a gap, rather. It's too close. And I feel like there's just not enough air getting in there. If they would, I don't know, possibly even just put a vent right here, that would probably help a lot, and it might even allow enough air to go in to help prevent dust from settling on that fan there. So that'll have to be cleaned for sure. Probably take it out, maybe even take it apart. I don't know, but that definitely has to be cleaned. Another thing, non-fan related, actually assembly disassembly related, is this spacer in the middle. The TH1060 Optima, that Vivitech, the number's eluding me, D335, I don't know. But there's a Vivitech, but they all have the standoff in the middle. So when you take these apart, you have to watch. Sometimes this will just fall out on its own. If you go to put the cover back on without it, it will go together, but it'll kind of like squish itself, and you don't want to do that. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure that goes back into the plastic. You can't really see it. Right there, that hole. It's going to go in there like that. So we'll just put that in the screw bin. And let's see. Let's look at all the fans to see how bad this has to come apart. If I have to release the main board, I will. I kind of don't want to. The less you take apart, the better. So this is the system fan. This helps exhaust air that's drawn across the power supply and ballast, which is under here. That one actually doesn't look too bad. Let's pop it out and see. Needs to be cleaned, but it feels good. The bearings aren't wobbling. Well, it's actually supposed to go that way. Yeah, that feels okay. Does need to be cleaned. Then the exhaust fan for the lamp. These get really abused, and I wanted to feel the leading edge. Make sure it still feels sharp and not round, and it does still feel sharp. What'll happen is these will get really hot, and the actual edge will kind of, instead of being pointy, it'll kind of round over on itself, and then the whole airfoil effect of the fan blade won't work right. That metal is to help deal with some of the heat that comes across so that you don't get the bearings too hot inside. There is a label under here if we needed to replace it. It's a Delta fan of some sort, I'm sure. Being that, oh yeah, there it is on the side. Delta. And it says, what do we hear? PBT GF30 FR17. I forget what PBT stands for. Poly something something. Glass fiber 30% and fiber reinforced 17%. So that's it's pretty rigid. Yeah, that's a good heat resistant fan. Anytime you see glass fiber reinforced, you know it's going to be a pretty robust fan. And then we have the blower fan. To take out the blower fan all the way, the lamp basket has to come out. So I think that's going to stay. Let's pop the fan out though, or off the bracket, and see how it needs to be dealt with. Come on. There we go. Yeah, even the backside, that dust got in so thoroughly that it packed in on the backside too. Like there's no air moving through that part, and it's still got dust on it. If I get my, let me get my little brush here. You know, just, this is one of the greatest things for just getting dust loose. Just an old dry paint brush. It's nothing special. And it just gets that dust loose so that if you use some sort of forced air to get it out, whether it be a vacuum or compressor, it'll move it a lot easier. You do have to watch with compressors. There's a lot of folks who will say you don't want to use any kind of compressed air on a projector, that it'll blow all the dirt inside the optics, and there's a lot to that. There's definitely a lot to that. You don't just want to go spraying air willy-nilly inside a projector. But compressed air does work pretty well if you are away from the optics. Like in this case, the fan is not connected into the optics. If I blow air in there, the chances of dust getting inside there is more or less slim to none. So I'm going to use some canned air, and we're going to see if it, put my hand on the back, let's see if it just blows a huge cloud out when I do that. Oh, the HT3050. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Actually, yeah, I do have some advice. When you initially open the case, it's going to fight you. It's going to feel like it doesn't want to come apart. Look at the front, where the front clips on, and the bottom, kind of, I don't know, 2 centimeters back or so, you should see a little clip. I think I even showed it in my video how to get to that clip. But once you get the front loose, it'll come apart way easier. In fact, I think taking the lamp cover off was one of the trickiest parts. Not tricky, but most frustrating parts, because you keep thinking the thing's going to snap as you're pulling it up because it's going across the whole top. But take your time. Take lots of pictures. Anytime you take a screw out, you might even want to get a piece of paper, kind of draw yourself a little map, and poke the screw through the paper, or even cardboard. Sometimes what I'll do, like if I were going to remember where these screws went for the fan, I'll actually just get a piece of cardboard like this, and of course I'm kind of doing this on the fly, so it's probably going to fall everywhere. But, pop the screws in, and then I draw a picture of where it was supposed to be, and it kind of gives you a little map if you're not sure where the screws go, so you don't forget where the screws go. But yeah, other than that, take your time, and if you get jammed up, give me a shout. I'd be glad to help. So anyway, get back to this. You saw that cloud of dust that came out of here. I'm going to go the other way. The other thing I'm going to do is when I clean this fan, I'm going to hold this still so that, because that'll spin up, and if these spin up too fast, the centrifugal force will actually throw the fan apart and it'll just explode. Sometime I'll actually do that on camera for the fun of it. But for now, I'm going to hold the blade still and go around the other way, knocking out any other built up dust. Now, the other thing to remember is getting rid of all of the dust is not realistic. I'm sure you can definitely get rid of all the dust. If you have the time, you can definitely go through and clean it till you can eat off it. But you don't have to do that. Dust, these are designed to run with some dust. They're just, it's going to happen. But the more that you get out, the better. And the more you can keep the fans free of dust, the better the fans are going to work. And if the fans are working well, they should push most of the dust through. Most importantly, don't use end dust. Do not use end dust for electronics, because it's glue. It'll just glue more dust in. So, I'm just going to go around with this brush and just kind of loosen this stuff up. I'd like to I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the vacuum on camera. It's kind of loud. I don't know. Let me think about it while I get there. I didn't really plan this live stream out too well. I just figured I'd wing it. Let's see. That is getting loose. Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely get this with something a little stronger. I might actually just have to use the air compressor on here. I don't think the vacuum's going to get most of this. I go to the vacuum first and the air compressor second. If I do the air compressor, I try to do it strategically as to not get crap into here. I don't want to fill that up with dust and get spots everywhere. The other thing with these short throws is that lens can cook really fast. If it gets dust inside of it, the light will just heat up. This is plastic, and that will get a burn mark inside of it. And once that starts to burn, it's done. Trying to find a replacement for one of these, forget it. I did find one for a GT 1080. Actually, interesting side note, if you ever need a short throw lens for a GT 1080, look for an old Smart UF 55. You can get them for like 40, 50 US, and the optical assembly on the front is identical to the GT1080. You can replace the whole thing, just take the lens, the glass part off, but they're identical. Optima wanted, I don't know, stupid money for a replacement one, and I just happened to be trying things and found that the optic assemblies were identical. I will have a video coming out on that once I finish getting better with Adobe Premiere. That's why I actually haven't had any other videos up lately, or projector videos up, as I'm trying to get good at that Adobe Premiere. So anyway, back to this. I want to put this fan back in before we start cleaning the rest of it, because the more that's back together now is the less that I can forget about later. So I'm going to put these screws in, and since these screws are just going into metal, I don't need to worry about starting them properly so that I don't chew the threads up like the plastic screws. So I'm just going to put that in. Let me get my little rag and just kind of wipe that surface dust off, wipe my gloves off. Man, this thing's just filthy. Just wipe that fan off. This fan can go back in. I'm happy with that. And again, this is for a school, so it's more of a let's keep it running and minimize their spending, because they do have to pay for all this, and it's I have 12 projectors total to do, and that's not going to be super cheap. Normally that would probably be about $3,000 to clean 12 projectors, but they do get a little discount because of the amount, and also they're school customers, so I don't want to beat up school customers. This is for my day job. Clearly that's where I am right now. Some of you know where that is. I don't advertise it because I do this for me, and I do this for you guys, really. I want to help people keep their gear running, and because of where I work, it makes it easier for me to share this kind of stuff about projectors. And sometimes I do repair them, on the side for people. Folks will send them in, like viewers and stuff will send them in. But the majority of them are for clients of my day job. And it's nice to keep track of everything through the videos and to share, the knowledge, so people know, what's going on, which is really cool, I think. Oh, what's this here? Ivan. Hey, Ivan. How you doing, buddy? Oh, thanks, man. For some reason, Ivan, they told me I had to approve your comment. I don't know why, but I approved it, so you should be good. I hope you're well. And I like that I got the laptop over there to the right. It helps big time. I can see what I'm doing. Let's see. Oh, Vittoria, I'm glad to hear that. See, that's the whole point. That's why I do this. I mean, I want to keep this stuff out of the landfills, and, we all work hard for our money. Why should we just throw it away when, you spend an hour or two and you got a good projector again? So I'm really glad to hear that. That anytime, back when I was first getting into this, there was plenty of times where I was just like, YouTube's kind of a pain. Who really cares? And then I see comments like that, and I go, dang it, people do like it. That's great. And then I smile, and and I keep doing it. So I appreciate that. So here's a good one. That's kind of cool looking. See if hopefully that's focusing. But this is Endust stuck to the thing. Oh, thanks, Cara. I appreciate it. Oh, hello to Romania. I agree, Cara. I work on all kinds of stuff. You see the other videos I post. My poor wife puts up with so much of my nonsense at home with me fixing anything. So I just happen that projectors are something I get a lot of, so I get to fix those a lot. But I'd work on anything. I cut my teeth on AV gear when I was oh geez, in the mid-90s, I started doing audio video repair and just kind of kept going one way or another since then. So anyway, this you can kind of see the end dust got all of the dust to stick to the fan, and it made these cool little strings. So for art, that's kind of neat looking, but for projector cooling, this is terrible. So let me see if I can get that all loose. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's on the other side. Wow. See that dust bunny fall out? Man. See, you could hit this with an air compressor right now, and it would only take some of that off. You really got to get in there physically and knock it loose. Let me see. So that's what I pulled out so far from that fan. That's just that, right in the trash. And it stinks of end dust. End dust should sponsor me. Actually, no, they shouldn't. They should just stop selling end dust for electronics. Just get that out of the way. See, just that little bit of brushing, that did really good. That's crazy. Just that little bit of brushing. Now, that's actually clean enough right there. You could get in here with like some actual, I don't know, Windex 409, you know, some sort of spray cleaner, and then some cotton swabs and whatnot. But there's no dust stuck to it. The whole point is to get that airfoil shape. If you think about an airplane wing, when you get dust, oh, here we go. This is why I have a white top. So let's see, you got an airplane wing, a really stubby airplane wing. Air's got to do its thing when it goes above and beyond, like icing, or in this case, dirt. When that builds up on the front, you get a sad face, and then the airplane wing doesn't work very well. So we get that dust off, then the airplane wing works well, or in this case, the fan wing works well, and then we're good to go. I appreciate that. I actually do normally wear a mask. When I use the air compressor to blow stuff out, I put one on, but right now it's not really getting up in the air. It's just falling down. It's full of end dust. It can't go up in the air. It's all heavy garbage at that point. But you are right. A lot of this is like, you know, skin flakes. It's from a school. There's all these kids sitting around with their dander getting everywhere and their other cooties and whatnot. Kid cooties. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. But that's what this dust all is. It's, you know, just crud from the classrooms getting sucked into it. And these run for, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on the class. So they get a lot in there. Even the bottom. There's that bottom again. Let's see if that brush can knock this stuff loose. I really don't want to take all of the main board out. I want to get to that other projector. My plan is to hit 2 of these for this live stream. And if that goes well, then I'll do more with the rest of them. Because I also have some PJ 930s. It's getting here too. In fact, that's what we'll do. Let's go around. Let's, you know what, with the amount of dust that I'm seeing, let's take the main board out. At least get it loose. And and then we can make sure that there's no extra, like if there's dust on the ballast, on the heat sinks for the ballast, that's not good. We want to get that out. There's just a few places dust can build up underneath that would not be preferred. Is it ever preferred? I don't know. I'm just trying to make small talk, I guess. So let's unplug a bunch of wires. We'll go over the wires. I'm going to try and zoom you guys in. Bear with me. For whatever reason, YouTube's zoom control on my camera is weird. All right, focus. All right, I think that's focused. We can see everything. All right, I like that. So let's start here. This connector here goes to the thermal fuse or thermal breaker. It's just 2 wires. There's a bimetal switch in there that will open when it gets too hot. That's why they have it next to the lamp area, which is good. Then we go over here. This is the ballast control. And unplug that and then just kind of sneak it through. Come on, one little gap. There's a little gap in the board there that will slide through. I'm going to re-unplug the 3 fans over here, the lamp blower fan and the exhaust fans. Then we'll get back to over here. Color wheel just unplugs. There's no clip. Color wheel sensor and temperature sensor. There's a temperature sensor on the color wheel sensor board in case the color wheel gets too hot. Front IR. Other fan. This can actually stay. This goes to a daughter board underneath. I think for the network. That does not need to come out though. That can stay. These screws will need to come out though. This one. Make sure my arm is not blocking everything. That one. This one. And then there's a ground strap that goes to the front IR. I just kind of tuck that over there. Come on. There we go. And this one. And now because I took out the 2 screws underneath these guys, I do not need to take out that screw. Oops. Don't need to take out that screw or this screw. I should now be able to lift up. I always lift up on the DMD end right here because there's a, connector. So I pop that loose, and then once I see this wobble, I can start picking up on the back of the casing. Let's move it forward just a tiny bit. And then once that starts to come up, it's a little bit of a wiggling thing because there's a bunch of wires underneath that are strapped to things that kind of get in the way. So once I get the back up high enough, it'll pop out of that rail. And now it's loose. But there are a bunch of wires under there that are kind of in the way. This one is one of them, but I don't like to unplug that, so I have a little cheat that is perfectly fine. I'm not cutting the wire, I'm cutting the plastic bit that it runs through, and then I just roll the wire off of it. Then we're going to unplug the low voltage that comes up from the main power supply. That's this cable right here. That's 12 volts ground, and they call it power factor on or lamp power on. Then on the other side, I don't know if you guys can see that white connector, blue and brown. That's the AC into the main power supply. That's going to get unplugged. And then there's a screw. I'm trying to keep all this stuff visible. That has 2 ground wires on it. Normally I would not take any of this stuff out for just a normal happy cleaning. But because of how dusty this was, I wanted to take that whole main board assembly out. Nope, wrong way. There we go. So there's the underside of the main board. You can really see how gross that is. All dust. That's the ground wire that we took out. That's our AC in. You can see AC in comes through here and goes down to the main board. That daughter board that I was talking about, that's that thing right there. And then that flexible flat flex cable, that's just those connectors on the back, the non-HDMI stuff, audio and serial. So that'll be cleaned. And now in here, this is what I was a little concerned about. That sticks to the top of the heatsink. And that's pretty gross. It's actually not the worst I've seen, and actually isn't the most as bad as I expected. I expected it to be a little worse, but it's bad enough. Every heatsink with dust on it means there's going to be more heat there. So that will need to be cleaned. The optic assembly, we're going to take that out too, just to give it a look-see. Make sure I keep everything centered. And also, I want to take that out because I just want to nail this thing with an air compressor. And I don't want to take a chance on blowing the dust into the optic assembly. So I took those 3 screws out. Now the optic assembly's loose. I'm going to pick it up by the heatsink. And there it is. That's the, oof. Yeah, see, I'm going to clean that manually. That's pretty gross. But you get an idea of how it works, at least. I'm sure I've gone over this a ton of times, but I'll do the Reader's Digest version. Light shines through. That's your color wheel. Spinny, spin, spin. Light goes through that hole. That's your light tunnel or integrator. There's a couple lenses right here that kind of what do they do? They kind of collimate the light. They bring it in and then they bring it out again because there is a first surface mirror behind there. So the light goes through those lenses, hits that mirror. The mirror's on an angle. That mirror shines the light up through what they call a shape lens. It's a I had one laying around, but it's a round lens that helps direct the light up to the DMD itself, which is here. And then once that light, it's just light at this point, colored light, you know, the colors change as the color wheels go by, but there's no picture yet. Once that light hits the DMD, that's where the picture's created. The DMD just reflects directly out the lens. There's no other optics between the DMD and the final lens assembly. Now, granted, there's a bunch of optics inside the lens assembly, but when I first started working on these, I really expected a lot more optics, but they got it pretty simple. So let me slide this back a little bit, and let's get that brush and just kind of brush that dust down. Again, I don't want to go too nuts. My mantra for, well, more or less all of this is less is more. If you don't have to do it, don't. And it's not because of laziness, it's because anytime you touch anything, there's a chance that you can cause a problem that wasn't there beforehand. Anybody that works on cars, if you probably knows that changing automatic transmission fluid, at least for those of us in the States that don't know about the amazingness of manual, if you change automatic transmission fluid on an old car, there's a chance that transmission will start slipping because of all the crud in the fluid. Kind of helps the clutches keep working. Now, there's no clutches to worry about here, but, you know, you over clean something, I could, you know, damage one of those gold connectors there. I could scratch a lens. I could chip a color wheel. You know, I've caused problems before for sure. You know, luckily I've only done it once. Well, once each time. I rarely will make the same mistake twice. I hope. My wife would have to confirm that or not. If you're watching, honey, thank you. But anyway, one of the other things I want to do here, that's a good idea, actually, making your projector short throw with the mirror. Interesting fact, fun fact. Some of the original, I don't know if you remember CRT projectors, they used a big mirror in the front to shine the picture up onto the screen. So that's a really good idea. So I'm taking the color wheel sensor off because this is a common issue on a lot of projectors. That little black 2-spot thing is the sensor. It looks for that little black mark on the side, and those will get dust in them. So I wanted to pull that off and make sure that looked good, and it does. Let's look at the index mark on the color wheel. Right there, that looks good. This is not a model that's known for having severe color wheel issues. There's a bunch of Optimas that will definitely have color wheel problems at some point. For whatever reason, the what do you call it? The little mark, that little black mark falls off. gets too hot and then the glue goes bad and it falls off. I have a theory that it's sort of intentional. It like helps them get projectors sold faster, maybe. I don't know. It might just be a convenient side effect of some creative engineering, but I'm skeptical. Anyway, I'll put that back in. Let's route that wire back over here. Let's look at the DMD. Make sure there's no piles of dust on that. That's really easy to do on these. There's this screw over here. Once that screw comes out, this bracket just folds off, and then I should be able to, there we go. Yeah, we're going to redo that heatsink compound. You can see most of it came off on the heatsink here. There's the back of the DMD. Trying to see the part number. Probably not going to see it on this resolution, but it says 1280-6028. So 1280-6028 is the DMD part number. Then we have 4 screws that hold this on. Now we're going to do this right away because I don't like to leave these open. So I'm going to take this apart. I'm actually going to keep the screws in front of me instead of putting them in the screw bin like I usually do. Because like I said, these are going right back in. Having a little container for your screws is a must as I set them on the counter there on the bench. All right, so let's get the DMD out. Here's the DMD. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, this one's got a problem. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get a better angle. What we're looking for, oh, you can kind of see it there. Where's something I can point with? You see there's a dot and another dot. Come on. There's a dot here and a dot here. Maybe we can see it better this way. This DMD's got burn-in. It actually says Polyvision. I can read Polyvision. You can kind of see it there. If you look at the middle, look right here, it says Polyvision. And then there's 2 circles that they use in the logo. And then down here in the corner, it says searching for signal. So what happens is teachers will use these. They'll leave them on and on and on and on and on. And then the little mirrors get stuck and they don't flip back over. So that's bad. This is shot. This needs a new DMD. I do have some. They're not sitting in front of me. So what we'll probably do, let me think about this. Okay, I think what we'll do then is I'm going to get this ready for the new DMD, and then we'll go to the other one. And then I'll either do another stream with a follow-up where I put this back together with the new DMD, or just a video. I don't know. I'll think about it as I keep going here. Like I said, this is all on the fly. But let's look at the optics while we're here, because these optics are filthy. Filthy, filthy, filthy. There's the shape lens right there. That's the shape lens. Oh, thank you, JR. I try. I do my best. There's dust all over that. I see dust on pretty much everything in here. So instead of using the air compressor on there, I'm going to use a device that I've been using a lot more lately. You can get these on Amazon for diatomaceous earth. It's a little puffer. So I'll use these instead of the air compressor because it'll give me just enough air to do a gentle cleaning. And it got the one side of that shape lens really good. The other side's still a little dusty. It's still, there's a lot in there. I'm going to use that clip off the back. There's like a chunk. Oof. I don't know if anybody actually saw that, but there's a puff that came out. I might have to hit that with the air compressor. Let's see, will that? Yeah, we're not going to do that. I was going to drag the air compressor over here, but I don't want to do that. So, all right, so this is no good. We're going to definitely put the screws into the screw bin because they are not going right back in because of our unhappy DMD. But that's okay. This can all be repaired. I'll set the DMD over there. We'll put that back screw in there. Put that, there's my screw bin. Always keep your screws in there. Set the optic assembly over there too. Man, so let's get the brush. Just kind of loosen this stuff up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to step out of camera for about 10 seconds, and you'll hear the air from the air compressor. It's I'd bring you with me, but well, maybe I can. No, I can't because I have my phone plugged into the computer. That won't work. All right, so talk amongst yourselves for a moment. All right, so that worked. That got all of that crap out. All the gradu, all the mung, whatever you want to call it. So that's way better. Wow, some of the dust actually landed on my screen. That's funny. So there's still some here. We'll get that stuff out manually. Again, that's why I like using the paintbrush. It just kind of knocks it all loose. And then there's some on here where the color wheel sits. We'll just wipe that off. This stuff on the metal tends to get burned on there because that lamp is really hot, so it'll make it stick a little more. But we got that out. The heat sinks are clean on the ballast. There's our ballast right there, 230 watt. I think that, yeah, it's an Osram brand ballast. It doesn't matter if it's Osram or Phillips. It's a 230 watt ballast. It'll run most 230 watt short arc lamps without issue. So this is good. The main board still needs some love, so I'm going to hit that real quick. And then let's see. Oh yeah, Marion, they're crazy dusty. If anybody knows of a camera that I can plug into my computer and use for this, that would probably be better. Using my phone is fine, but I think if I use a computer, I can actually see a live version of what I'm doing. Oh wait, I don't want to do that over top of the thing I just cleaned. Come on, Frank, what are you doing? But I'm going to see if I can figure out this will be, live streams will be an evolving event or evolving thing. I enjoy doing it. The last one was a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this one. Like my wife says, as long as it's fun, keep doing it. She's a smart lady. I mean, she married me, so I do question her judgment sometimes. Giggle. So let's get that brush in there, get this stuff loose. All right, let me go hit this with the compressor real quick. Then I think we're going to pack this up out of the way and we'll move to the next one, unless I happen to find that DMD I'm looking for laying around. All right, much better, much better. So this is the top, like we know, and the keyboard here, actually, exactly, Carl, exactly, 1000% that. And she's she makes it fun to keep her happy, so I'm a lucky fella. But anyway, we'll go to the lucky projector now, and I'm just going to give you a quick once over on how this all works. All projectors have some sort of door switch to tell it when the lamp cover is on. On this one, there's that little tab right here, that fella. And on the underside, underneath this plastic, there is a momentary switch right there. And that's what the door hits. So when it's open, I can do this one-handed. Nope, good enough. All right, so that changed over a little bit. So that would tell the projector that it's open through that wire. Then when the door's shut, it pushes over, and then that measure's closed. So one thing I've done in the past, sometimes they'll break that switch, and the only person changing the lamps is a guy who knows what he's doing. So we'll actually put a little solder blob right there and just bypass the whole door switch. I even have a test keyboard. I've got a couple test keyboards, but where is it? There we go. So I have one keyboard that when I'm testing, where is it? Here it is. So I have a few of these. I save them from old projectors. This one is actually out of a PJ905. You can kind of see that. And I will put solder blobs across those pins. And then I have a way to plug them in and test them without putting the cover on. Like right now, I could plug this into that main board and try to fire it up. And it works the same as that. So anytime I work on a lot of the same model, I try to get my hands on a keyboard just to make a test device like that. So let's see, let's take stock in what's going on here. We need a DMD, which I don't have. I don't think I have. Might have. Went and grabbed my pile of them, or a pile of them. Let's see here. 1910 6127. Looking for 1280. 1076. That's one of these. These are a common failure. This one, I question replacing these sometimes. There's a bad one. Another one with burn-in. Let's see, we got here 1076, 7408. Definitely 1280, 6028. One of the ways you can match them too, the part numbers won't always match, but if you look at the resolution or the die size, the silver part there, if they're the same and the back is the same, there's a real good chance it'll work. I've even put the wrong resolution in, you can see, just for testing, and it'll fire up. It just will give you an incorrect picture. I'm thinking this one might be okay. This one might work. So maybe we will go ahead and get this running. Let me get the rest of these. Let's see, this one says 31N, 23N. Definitely looks like the same size mirror though. Let's keep that one out too. We're going to try this one. I'm going to keep that one out too. Let me put the rest of these off to the side. I actually have another Polyvision with another one of these with a burned lens that I could pull one out of, but I'm not really sure the condition of that one. So, slight change in plans. Let's keep going with this and see. Let's see if this DMD will fix it. If it does, awesome. If not, then I know I have to get a DMD. Or see if they want to get a DMD. There's a good chance on some of these that if the repair cost is too high, they're just going to say scrap them. So I try to use as many used but good parts as possible when I can for them. You know, they're not watching movies. They're, I guess, doing math and whatnot. Whatever kids do in school these days. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can get this. There's some old heatsink crap in the back. Let's get that off. Ah, curious. The part number, now that I got that crud off, 1280-6028. I bet this is out of another scrapped Polyvision. That would be pretty sweet. So we'll take the DMD carrier. Let's set that in. This is just so that we have an interface between the pins. I'm just looking to make sure there's no bad pixels, and I definitely don't see any. And then we'll take the DMD riser card. So these pins go with that, and then on the other side they touch to that. You probably already figured that out. All right, so that sits there. Now this can only go on one way. There are alignment pinholes here and here, and you can see that one's bigger than that one, wider. So that will drop in there. That's good. Then we'll get the optic assembly. And then again, there's pins that line that up. In fact, a lot of times I'll do it this way. Set the, actually this capped on tape can come off. That stuff's done. So I'll set it in there. It'll line up with that hole and that hole. Sometimes these will have a metal mask that can fall off. So just, you know, when you're taking stuff apart, pay attention. Take your time. It's not a race. And then we're going to put this back on. And if you remember, when this was inside, the screw was on the right. So this plate has to go that way. You can actually put the plate on the wrong direction. I've done it. And you can't leave it that way because the heat sink is not put together symmetrically. So it will prevent itself from fitting. Oh, come on. Come on, screw. There we go. So I'm going to put that one in, but I'm not going to tighten it. Just bring it down right before it stops. Not even snug. It's not even finger tight, because I want to make sure that everything's straight and square and lined up, and then we'll tighten it down. So this one I'll bring down till it's snug. Kind of give everything a check. It's seated good. Yep, good. Tighten that one. And then we'll put the other two in. And let's see. Oh, more questions. What do we got here? Oh, no worries, Stephanie. Hey, thanks for making it. Whenever it's, hey, you know, it's, we all got lives. I totally get it. And then now let's clean this off. There's a little bit of old heatsink crud on there, and there's a couple ways we can do it. I could use some rubbing alcohol. That'll get it off. Just going to try and get the majority off just by scraping. This stuff gets all crunchy. And then, yeah, a little bit of rubbing alcohol to get the rest of it off. I like to use the 99% anhydrous, the kind of water-free stuff. It's a little pricey, but it keeps the keeps moisture out mostly. At least for cleaning this stuff off. I try not to use solvents as much as possible. I mean, you know, chemicals, you got to use them when you got to use them, but there's no reason to overdo it. A little more. Come on. Just get my fingernail. It's not that this stuff's terrible, but if I leave the old stuff on there and put the new stuff on, the old stuff is so hard it'll keep this from sitting flat, and it won't, or it stands the chance of not conducting the heat away properly. So I want to try and get as much of the old stuff off as I can. That corner is really fighting me. I guess I gotta bring out the big guns and get the knife in there and scrape, scrape, scrape. Come on. All right. That feels good. Just wipe my knife off. Put that away. All right. And then one more little wipe. Okay. That'll work. So then, as I reach in front of the camera and block everybody's view, I'm going to get some silver thermal compound. And I'm just going to put a little bit. Oh, there we are. Just going to put a little bit in the middle. That, tiny, there we go. A little bit smaller. I don't know what you would call that, a pea size maybe. A tiny bit, a dab. A little dab will do you. And then we'll get the back. And we set the back on. And that feels good. It feels like it's down snug. And then we get the bracket. The bracket goes in between like that. And then down. And then we get the screw that I almost misplaced. And then the screw. Oh, thank you. Yeah, sometimes people will glob that stuff on there, and then it just creates too much of a gap. I just want to fill in the imperfections in the metal so that we have a good thermal transfer. It's funny how much stuff between computers and projectors, you know, cross over with each other. And there's actually a surprising amount that doesn't, which was surprising to me. A little tangent I'll go on real quick while I reorganize. Is the topic of Noctua silent fans that are popular in computers. They're those tan and brown fans that are a little overpriced, in my opinion. I mean, they're decent fans, but I don't know. They're kind of pricey, in my opinion. But anyway, every now and again I get a question from somebody about, hey, can I put a Noctua fan in my Benq or my Optima or whatever? And on paper, you would think it's possible. You know, it's a 80 millimeter fan, 40 millimeter fan, 12 volt, you know, 30 milliamp, whatever. But what people don't realize, and what I didn't realize until I really went down the rabbit hole, was that Noctua fans are quiet because they spin them slower. The average projector, a BenQ W1070, most of the fans are 2400 to 3600 RPM. Noctua fans of the same size run at about half the speed. So if your BenQ fan's at 3600 RPM and your replacement fan's at 1800 RPM, first problem is you're not going to move as much air. Your CFM is going to be lower. But the bigger issue is your projector is going to see that it's spinning slower, and it's going to throw a fan error. It's going to say your fan's too slow. Because of that, the reason for that is because projectors just have a much higher heat load than computers. Computers don't run a short arc mercury lamp inside. They're not, you know, they don't have a piece inside running at 500 to 1,000 degrees. You know, I mean, the lamp, when you look at it, isn't 1,000 degrees. I'm talking about the arc inside. But they're hot. They run really, really, really hot. So you don't want to, you know, take a chance with poor thermal management. So Noctua fans, even though they seem good on paper, they're not. I mean, they're great for computers. Don't get me wrong. They definitely have a place, and they're good products, just not for retrofitting into a projector. What you could do, though, and what I suggest people to do in those cases, is build a hush box with it. You build an enclosure that goes around the projector, you know, bigger, much bigger, and you have fans in that, and then the projector noise is kept inside the hush box, and then you put a couple big Noctua fans on your hush box to get the air in and out. That's a good idea. Putting them inside your projector is not a good idea. The other thing that's not a good idea is when you're trying to put this little metal thing back in, letting it fall out again. I think that's for a lock. So there we go. Got that in. And the other thing I forgot to do when I hit this with air is I forgot to put air in that HDMI connector. So 1 second. Much better. Okay. So main board is clean to my satisfaction. Optic Assembly is clean to my satisfaction and has its replacement DMD that doesn't have the burn-in. I might try and get a picture of this on my microscope, and maybe I'll make it for the thumbnail for this stream after it's finished. I don't know, that might be kind of cool. Alex, I'll put this over here. Now, we don't know for sure that DMD is going to work. We'll find out after we put it back together, but I hold out high hopes. Let's move to the reassembly here. First thing we need to put back in is the optics. I find that you want to kind of just pull forward on that ring a little bit. Pay attention to the color wheel. You don't want that to get caught on the metal and then rip itself apart. There are alignment pins right there and over there. You can see they don't wobble when I move this. That's where the alignment pins are. So make sure that lines up. Oh, and this is why you can't have the heatsink the other way. If I had that clip on the other side, the heatsink would be bumping into here and it wouldn't drop in. So those are in. Let's get the screws that hold those in. Now these screws are going into metal threads, so I don't need to be extra careful with the way I start them. I can just pop them on the end of the screw gun and let her rip. I do get comments sometimes about my use of a drill driver, and yes, in theory it's not a good idea, but I've been using tools for a very long time and I'm comfortable with this, with these in particular, with these DeWalt types. I've been using these for 10-12 years now. I've replaced the motor in this one 3 or 4 times. So, but the other reason is my wrists are they're getting kind of worn, and spinning a screwdriver for all that, it starts to hurt. So I use one of these so it doesn't. So anyway, that's back in. Those screws are in. Now we're going to put the main board back in, which is kind of finicky. One of the things I want to do is get these other wires pushed back out of the way. That'll help make it a little easier. Those will be out of the way. This one, I'm just going to tuck that here for now. That's going to have to be plugged back in. These have to be plugged back in. That has to be screwed in. So I'm going to get that screw ready. And I can't promise this is going to be the greatest camera angle. I'm going to try, though. I will do my best. So I'm going to plug the AC wire in first. And then, oh, that screw came loose again. Come on. And then we'll get that going to use the screw gun to help direct it. There we go. All right, that's really the hardest part. Plugging in the low voltage is a pain in the butt, but it's not that bad. I tend to just grab it from the side. Let me get something to hold this up so you guys can at least see what I'm trying to do here. No, that won't do it. Let's use the drill. That'll work. I did that before. Let's see. You guys should be able to see this now. If I grab the connector, and then I get to get the board ready to drop in. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a real pain. That's why I don't like to take the main boards out if I don't have to. Then you just have to get these little side rails right here. They have to lock in. Come on. There we are. Then we'll look at the bottom and we'll make sure that that's down, and it is. It's a little up on that side because of what's holding it up on that side. Nothing. It just needs to be pushed down. All right, good. Oh wait, no, there's something. There was something catching. Was it that wire? There's a wire. I think the AC wire had slid. There we go. Now it's back down. Man, these things they can be tricky. All right, so now we're going to put some wires back in, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit again. And hey, not bad, not bad. Thermal pads would work. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes when you buy replacements, they'll actually send thermal pads. The only problem I've run into with thermal pads is the thickness, but if it's a thin one, like the kind they use on the back of like MOSFETs and stuff, that should be fine. If I could find a good sheet of thermal pad where I could cut out my own, I'd probably use it more. But yeah, thermal pads are definitely fine. I mean, really, you're just transferring heat, so you can even get away with using the old white silicone stuff. That stuff will work fine. They used that on these for years. Then I guess when Arctic Silver came out, everybody jumped on the Arctic Silver bandwagon, and everything had to have Arctic Silver looking heatsink stuff in it. So, but yeah, you totally could use thermal pads. They'd be fine. I think actually I did a Dell. There was a Dell video I did, 1410, I think. I think I used a thermal pad in that one. Did I? No, I did one with a thermal pad. I can't remember what it is now. Let's get these wires in. Now we're going to, I'm going to put some of the screws back in. We're going to try it first before I put the cover on. So I'm going to put that screw in. I'm going to put in one over here. And then get these other wires plugged back in. And then I'll get that that keyboard that I have for testing these. Come on. Come on. A little more, a little more. I'm blocking everything, sorry. Oh, color wheel. And then color wheel wire. There we go. All right, those are in, that's in. I put that screw in. We will put that screw in, and that one, and that one. But that's enough for testing. Oh, I need a lamp. Not going to work well without a lamp. What do we got here? Do I have one here? Yes, I hope it's good. Okay, I do have a lamp. This one works, or it should work. It looks good. One question I get a lot is, how can I check my projector lamp? Is it, can I put a meter on it? Can I don't know. Is there another way to test it without having a known good projector? The classic answer is no. You can't check these with a meter. They are an arc lamp. There's no filament. You can't measure resistance. I mean, you can. If you measure these for resistance, it's going to be infinite resistance, which is good. But that doesn't necessarily tell you the lamp is good. So what I do, if I don't have a way to physically power it up, if I don't have a ballast sitting around that I can use to fire up one of these, that one did get hot though. What I'll do is I'll look at it. Really, a physical examination is the easiest way to tell. Inside, and I'll do this part quick. Inside, this thing that I'm pointing at, that tube there, that's the arc tube. The burner is another name for it. That's the actual bulb. This is the reflector. This is the lamp housing. That thing in the center is what actually makes the light. It's a, here we go. Here's one out of an Osram. This is the burner removed. And what you're looking for is in this part, in the center. You're going to be looking at it that way, so it's kind of hard to tell, so you got to use the reflector to your advantage. But you're looking in here for dirt, for darkness, discoloration, anything, little white spots on one side. When these get worn, they'll get a bunch of white crud on the side that's facing down. So you look for that. Also look for cracks. Another common failure is they'll get hot and this end wire will burn off if there's not enough cooling air from that blower fan. That end wire will burn off. Or if it's a lower quality lamp assembly and that vent's not aimed properly, these vents are actually aimed to get air across the tip of that. You'll see burn circles in the end of the glass there, and the wire will burn off the end, and that tells me that either the vent isn't pointed right or the lamp blower fan and the projector isn't working right. So if you're looking at a lamp and it looks clear, it looks shiny, that wire's intact, there's no other obvious signs of physical damage, you can pretty much figure the lamp is okay. There have been times where I've had cracks in the base of the arc tube where you can't see it, but most of the time, majority of the time, all you have to do is physically look at it. And if it looks good, most of the time it'll work. I've even seen lamps that have deposits in there and they work okay, but you know, they're not going to be as bright. That's really the best thing to do. Take a physical look at it, and if it looks good, you're probably okay. You don't need to get ballast set up and all that. And I do have a test box I can do that with. There are reasons to do that, but you know, for the average home user, business support, you know, projector support person, just physically look at it and that'll tell you. So anyway, rambling over, we're going to plug this in and we're going to snug these screws down, and then I'm going to grab that keyboard again. I should have left that out, and then we'll plug that external, my test keyboard in, and then we'll fire this fella up and see what happens. So let me get that keyboard. PJ 905, where did it go? That's not it. HD 25. PJ 905, where the heck did I put it? I literally just had it when I was talking to you guys, and I put it down, and now I can't find it. Alright, well, we'll make a new one real quick. I literally just had it in my hands. It probably slipped behind my thing, my little area where I store them. And rather than make a big deal out of this, we'll slap together a new one real quick. Let me make sure I got the right one here. Should be this guy, same one, yep. So I just want to throw a little blob of solder across there. So I'll do that in a moment, just waiting for the iron to heat up. Yeah, there's one. This is for a PJ930. You can see where I solder blobbed that one right there. This is for the other projectors I have to look at. I'll keep that one out. But my PJ905 one, where the heck did I put it? I'm gonna check over here. No. I gotta clean this area up. Nope. My wife knows all about my ability to clean. She's a saint. All right, so I'm going, let's see, we'll set that there, here. You can see it there. And soldering iron. Yep. Let's see, is it hot yet? Let's see. Yep. Get the Brillo pad, and let's see, you guys should be able to get a good enough view here. My cord, I usually solder over there, so I'm kind of stretching things, but it'll work. A little closer. Yeah, there we go. Now I can reach it. So all I'm going to do literally is just put a blob of solder across. Now it will think the door is closed. We'll get our ready light, and then we can fire it up. So let's go back over here. Let's set that over there. Now, one thing you could do if you wanted to make that removable, you could have the wire plugged in and then just put a toggle switch on the wire, or just unplug, replug it. I was actually thinking about just jamming something in that connector, but that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hacky. Then, where did I? Oh, there it is. Now the other thing I like to do is protect the back of the board and protect the projector. If we set that down on there, there's a chance it could short out. So first let me plug that in, but we're going to put some tape. I have this, I like to use gaffer's tape for this. Let me get these little ground fingers out of the way. I don't need those. Yeah. Now this is just gaffer's tape, real gaffer's tape. I have some background in theater and audio production, live audio production, so gaffer's tape is something I learned about a long time ago and definitely love using for pretty much everything. It's fantastic tape. Anyway, there we go. All right, so that's safe. I'm going to set the gaff tape over there. We got that there. So now let me get a power cord. And let's see. That's 2:30. All right. 2:30 my time at least. I'm sure it is not 2:30 where you guys are. All right, so I think we're good here. I think we can hit power. right, we got light. That's good. And let's see if I can get you guys a view of the screen. There it is. Zoom out. No, out, not in, out. There we go. My personal home projector, I run a BenQ HT1075. That's in the bedroom. I also have a digital projection DVision 30XL, which I have to still install, but it's really nice. But my main one is a BenQ. It's HT1075 that I picked up really cheap because it had a bad fan. And turned out it only had 15 hours on it total. Like actual 15 hours. So I think now it has like 250 or 300 hours on it total. And I've looked at replacing it a few times. I have a Sim2 Domino 60. I got a bunch. I got a bunch of projectors. My poor wife and our rotating projector collection. But the main one that I use, like I'll use it tonight, is the HT1075. So look at that. We have picture. And it's good. Now, to you guys, it's skewed because of the camera angle and all that. But to me, that looks good. It is on the wall. And I thought it was out of focus, but it's good. It's just the angle that I have it at. So that DMD worked. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I had that. It's going to save them a pile of money, at least $100, if not more. And that means that I can actually finish this up now. So I'm going to shut it down. These are quick cool down. This is going to stop with the fan really soon. See? I don't know how I feel about that. There's an NEC. It has no fan when you turn it off. It cools down when you turn it back on if it's still hot, but I don't know. I think they should cool them down. There's a thing about lamps that bothers me, and it's the way manufacturers rate them in hours. You know, they say, oh, 2,000 hours for this lamp, 4,000 hours in eco mode, blah, blah, blah. And that's not really true. What they should do, but I know they won't because it's kind of a confusing thing to understand. They should rate them in what I call degree hours. Think of your projector lamp as a bucket full of water. There's you got a full bucket of water. Let's just say you got 4 liters in a bucket, and that 4 liters is the lifespan of your lamp. Normal use, you take out, I don't know, 1 liter every 3 months. We'll say for a year. That 4 liters is going to last you a year. So every 3 months, a liter is gone from that bucket. Normal use. However, if that lamp runs hotter, you're going to maybe take out 1.5 liters of water in that 3 months. That means your lamp's only going to last 9 months, 10 months instead of 12 months. So the closer to the proper operating temperature your lamp runs, the better chance you have of getting that rated light out, that rated lifespan out of it. So I call that degree hours. I wish I had a better way to quantify it, but if you think about it in the sense of the lamp life being a certain amount in comparison to those degrees, it kind of makes sense. I actually wrote a blog post. I'll link the blog post in this later. Or actually, can I do it now? Maybe I can do it right now. That would be pretty cool if I could do that. Let me see here. Let's see. Blog. Let's see if that comes up. Holiday season. Is this it? Let's see if this is it. I know I posted it recently. Let's see. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. That's not it. All right, well, I'm not going to do it now because you guys are watching now. But I will after I'm done, I'll stick it in the description, and you can see what I mean about degree hours. It makes a little more sense, I think, when you read it. So let's get back to here. Let me just go over all my screws. Make sure we didn't miss any. That one's in. 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 That's back in. Lamp. Do I have to take the... I'm trying to remember if I have to take the lamp out to... No. Sometimes you have to take the lamp out to put the cover back on. Like the lamp has to go through the cover. But in this case, it does not. So let's take that off. Just to make sure, really. Because sometimes they'll hit the edge and it'll be a little bit of a chore getting the top down. Yeah, that'll be good. So before I forget, keyboard wire. If I had $1 for every time I've forgotten a keyboard wire, I'd have quite a few dollars. The nice part is you always remember after you put the last screw in. And this is always the fun part, getting this top one. There's a piece of plastic. It's like a light shield in here. It always gets caught on that thing and keeps it from dropping down. You'll sit there and wiggle, wiggle, and it won't go anywhere. Then we'll just give it a little squeeze. Oh, you know what I did forget? I almost forgot. Or I did forget, actually. I just remembered. This thing that I was harping on about not forgetting. Now, it's pretty easy to drop back in and just get it. It just sits in place. And again, you can put that in without it. You just don't want to, because you could over tighten the case. Now, I have had to do it where it was missing. Somebody else worked on it and they lost it. You just don't tighten the screw down all the way. There we go. That's what I was waiting to hear. I wanted to hear a couple clicks. Now, we're going to put the top screws in first, the two on the back. Oh, I messed that one up. I did not wait to feel the thread. I'm going to do that on this one. So I'm going to spin it backwards. Spin it backwards. The heck. And I think that, well, hopefully that was it. But you get the idea. You want to feel the thread. It'll start to drop down. Then we'll put the front ones in. And then we'll put the bottom ones in. And then we'll put the cover on and we'll try it again. And then it is getting a little later than I thought. I was hoping to do 2 projectors today. I still might. I don't know. See what kind of interest you all have in watching more. I know it's getting late in some places. And I know it's Friday here. But if everything's going well and people want to watch, I'll keep going. Nobody, knock on wood, has come up to bother me today, so I haven't been interrupted from work yet. I mean, I'm getting, I'm at work, but usually somebody will have a question about something by now. You know what? One thing I am going to do first, let me see if I can clean that off. You are here. I see Jay Orr. All right. So I'm going to get some of that alcohol and see if we can clean all that. Here's what I like to use. This stuff. Now you have to be careful. Alcohol is an organic solvent, so it will attack acrylic and some other things. So you always, if you're not sure about what kind of plastic you're working with, you always want to try it on a little spot first. Definitely don't use it on the lens. I did an experiment one time on a burned lens, and it took the coating right off in a not good way. So don't use it on a lens. In fact, I find with lenses, no solvent, even lens cleaner. I'll maybe use some, like a damp cloth, microfiber, but I tend to use just like a dry microfiber cloth most of the time. There we go. All right, so that's about as good as that's going to get there. And that's fine. That's actually way better than it was. So that's good. I want to put the lamp door screw in, and then we will put the screws in the bottom. So let me put that in. That's snug. And I'm just going to use that as a thing so I mean, it's not like it's going to get scratched any worse. This thing's beat the heck. But, you know, give it some dignity. So then these, that one goes there. That was the, I should show you that one. I was a little fast with that. It doesn't want to come out. Of course, it's the long screw. There we go. So it's that screw, as it rolls off, versus 5 of these screws. So the long screw goes in the middle, where that standoff was. And then the short screws go everywhere else. You heard that click? That's what I'm listening for. That click, listening for that. That one, listening for that's good. Because again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use the same threads. These helical screws will cut new threads really easily. And you can do it a few times without hurting anything, but what will eventually happen is you've cut so many threads in the hole that the plastic is just chewed up, and it'll just strip super easy. And yeah, you can fix it. You could, you know, melt some plastic into the hole, dump some epoxy. There's all ways to fix plastic threads, but the best way is not to damage them in the first place, as I'm sure you're aware. And then the last one is right here. A little bit of dust on that, surprise, surprise. There we go. All right, so the cover's on, and then the last thing we always do, this is one of those weird Murphy's Law. I'm sure there's same names in other countries and languages for it, but if you don't test it, if you don't test it with the cover off, and you don't test it with the cover on, something's going to go wrong. Like if I didn't check it with this hooked up, there'd be some other unrelated issue that I wouldn't be aware of. It's just a repair, I don't know, old wives' tale superstition maybe. So there we go. We're firing it up. And let's look at the wall. We should see Polyvision soon. And remember that what you're seeing there on that Polyvision, because let's see if I can, you can kind of see those dots on the DMD. Oh, you're welcome, Ivan. Ah, Slava Ukraine. So remember that. There's the, that's with the Polyvision logo. That somebody basically left it on. Let's see if it'll show up. I think if I let it sit for a little bit, it'll show up. But you'll be able to see. And I think it'll do it. Let me see if I exit, blank. No, menu. It'll come up when it sits. And they probably left it sitting there, and it just, you know, it cooked the DMD. Remember, these are all little mirrors. Oh, there we go. Let me get, so it sat like that for who knows how long until the DMD had that image burned into it. I've seen them with, like restaurant menus. They'll use these for digital signs, and you'll see like what's left of the restaurant menu in there. So it's kind of interesting. It's very interesting. We'll leave it at that. So this is good. I'm going to shut this down. And then if you guys want to hang out, I'll do another one. Oh, cool. Oh, hey, Tyler. What's up, man? Oh, you're good, buddy. You got work to do, too. I get it. So this is good. All right, since there's a bunch of people here, I will work on another one. I have another 2 hours anyway that I'm here, so let me go grab another one. That's the old lamp. There's the busted glass from the old lamp, and there's the bad DMD from this one. So this had a bad DMD, a blown lamp, and it was dusty to all ridiculousness. So I'm sure the IT guy at the school will be happy to know that I was able to use parts from one of his other old dead ones to fix it. So let me go stick this off to the side, and actually let me ask you guys, do you guys want me to do another one of these, or should I do a PJ905? So here's a PJ905. All right, PJ905 it is. Let me go put this 930 over here. I wish I had some Epsons to show you, but I don't have any Epsons at the moment. I'm sure Tyler's got 1 or 2 Epsons laying around. So here's the PJ905, same school district, actually made by the same company. It says Steelcase, but this is made by, oh, thanks, Maren. Yep, definitely. Also made by Delta. Delta is a ODM. I hope I'm using the term right. OEM manufacturer. They're a company that makes stuff and then put other people's names on it. So the inside of this is very similar to a lot of other projectors. There's some Vivitex again. I think there's an Optima. I could be wrong. They kind of blend together after enough time. But let's see what's up with this one. I literally have no idea why it's here. So let's plug it in and let's see what happens. Power light's flashing. Okay, fans kicked on. Color wheel fired up. See if we see any light down in there. I don't see any light yet. We should see light by now, and we don't. It's probably not going to be something as simple as a lamp. Probably. Hopefully not. If it's just a lamp, I'll grab another one. I have 3 more of these. I'm not going to bore you guys with just changing a lamp. But let's do some troubleshooting. All right. Now this one's kind of weird. The screw for the lamp door is tiny. I have to use a PHOO to get it out. It's like a laptop screw, you know, tiny little like M1.5 or something. Go figure. There's the lamp assembly. Let's pop that out. Yeah, I'll just keep going. I mean, I'm here until 5. It's Friday, so I might, you know, kick out a tiny bit early. But all right, it's actually a good one to pick. It does have a bad lamp. The lamp is, I think, why it's not coming on. However, let me get a better. There you go. You see that? See the circle? And you guys probably can't quite see it, but let's see. If I hold it this way, and this is a clock, at the 3:30-ish position, there's a crack in the arc tube. In fact, let me see. Let's see how cracked it is. Yeah. And then down in the globe itself. There we go. That's what I was. All right. So it was cracked here. It was cracked right there. And there's one of the arc points. That little out of focus fellow right there, that's the arc point. I think that's tungsten and some other stuff. The glass is actually made out of quartz. It's not silica glass, so it doesn't really get sharp. It just gets crumbly. So anyway, so this lamp is from last year, 2020, 4/21/2020, and it overheated and blew itself up. So we're probably, oh yeah, see that? More dust. One of the best ways to save money on replacement lamps is keep your projectors clean. Don't let them do what this one did. Yeah, you get the drill. So we're going to start getting inside. This one comes across a little funny. It's very broke now. We're going to take that screw out, and then there's a bunch on the bottom. What the heck? Is that a little one? Why can't I get a good bite on that? Usually, there we go. What was I? Oh, it was because it was out all the way. All right. I was trying to figure out. Usually this will pop them right out. Okay. And then like Sony, which is convenient, we have arrows to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 screws, 9. And then, quick aside, this weird thing, the non-filter filter. I've heard that most companies now only put filters in models that are sold in areas that are known for having dust. I guess, some maybe South American countries, Middle East, wherever there is, I guess near deserts, I guess. I don't know. Where would you live where there'd be more dust, than anywhere else? But that's what I heard. I heard like Optima will put filters in some models if they're sold in an area that needs filters. So I don't know. I really don't know. But this is a non-filter filter. There's nothing in here when you buy it. It's literally just like that. So go figure. I mean, I've put them in there before. You get like that really thin, that 1/8 inch open cell foam stuff, and that'll be all right. But why they don't use them, I don't know. Probably because nobody changes them. So 1, 2, 3. One thing you'll notice, I don't just jump on it. I give it a little tap. I give it a little tap because these threads will be holding tight, super tight. And if you just jam on it real hard, you could actually twist that whole screw tower if it's brittle and snap it. So I just give it a little tap to kind of crack it loose. The screws were even dusty. I think that's all of them. Yep. And this also has a keyboard. Unplug that. Oof. I still think the other one was worse, but this one's pretty cool. I mean, it's got that whole 70s hair vibe going on here. Man. And we'll get this all loosened up, and then I can hit it with the air compressor when it's time. And again, this smells like my favorite electronics ruining dust spray. All dust, I'm going to call it from now on. Definitely smells like all dust. Man, this thing's got just like dust bunnies rampant in here. Freaking Peter Pan. Peter Pan? No, Peter Rabbit. Sorry. Got Peter Rabbit living in here. Alright, so the lamp fan on this one is not quite as goofy as the other one, but it is still underneath. So we'll pop this out. The exhaust goes through here, and they kind of have a I don't know, I'm going to call it a quasi hush box. There's no baffles in there, unlike this. Like Sony uses these really cool baffles in their exhaust. That's why they're so quiet. But this one, they have the air going in here and it vents out there. So the air is pulled in through here and through here. Oh no, that's the speaker. Sorry, through here and here, and then blown out through here. I was close. Yeah, you know, Peter something. Peter North, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so to get the main board out, we got to disconnect a few wires. This one actually has a lot of screws holding the main board in. These two cables here go down to the DMD. These connectors push forward about a, I don't know, millimeter or two. And then that one pops out, that one pops out. Just going to tuck them down here. These aren't like Epson LCDs that'll just shatter when you bend them too much. This is out of Epson. This optic block here is out of an Epson. And these connectors, this wire right here, like just bend it a tiny bit too much and it'll break any one of those tiny little, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but all those little traces there, there's got to be, I don't even know, a lot. That's 2 rows. There's 2 rows of connectors there. So, you know, just a little, like usually when it's in the projector, it's coming up and plugged in like that. And it sits that way for so long that this gets brittle, and then you go to move it and it breaks one of them and then it's done. So if you have an old Epson and you want to clean it, be really careful. So let's unplug the color wheel wire and the color wheel sensor. And if I start to, I don't know, ramble or get off topic too much, just, oops, pop a comment up and let me know. That just pulled apart. That happens. These, I think this is a JST connector. It's either JST or a Hiroshi. These will pull out. But you can just, as long as it didn't break, and it didn't, I can just pop it back in. Plugs in, and there's a little barb that holds it. Let's get these. Just going to use it to push on the back a little. Yeah, all right, that's good. All right, and that's the thermal sensor, like on the 930, that thing behind the lamp. That's what this is. Then we have a fan that also is pulling apart. The tack lead came out. Let's get that back in. You got to watch that with these. Oh, and it did it, pardon me, on this one too. This orange wire pulled out. I don't know why. It does it on these. I've had that happen a bunch of times on these. So now, let me zoom you guys in and we'll get that main board out. Well, I hope it's not boring, but you know what I mean. I could babble about this nonsense, babble about nonsense for hours, but I do enjoy it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shield comes off. Dirty. Big surprise. Now we're at the main board. Now these are kind of a pain to take out. The back should come off, but well, it's hard to explain, so I'll just show you. You can't take the whole back panel off like you can on the other ones. You have to take the main board entirely out, which means disconnecting the connector fasteners on the back too, which is a little bit of a hassle, but you know, whatever. Oh no. So again, these are just 5mm. It's a 5mm nut driver, 5.0. Not to be confused with the 4.6 to any Ford people out there. And then, let's see, I think that will... you know what, Tyler, you're right. I get it mixed up all the time. This is a 930. This is a 930. I'm assuming this is the one you guys meant, though, right? I get them mixed up because they come in together. So yeah, and I always think of the 930 as the newer one. It's a weird mental block I get sometimes. I start talking, and then the stuff's in my head, but it comes out my mouth different. I'm sure you understand. So anyway, disconnecting this wire, which goes down to the daughter board. Disconnecting this wire, which goes to a fan. And then we have our low voltage right here. I guess if you did meet another 905, it's a little late. I'm going to have to keep going, but I'm assuming you meant this one. Wow. More grossness. And we'll unplug all these, and hopefully none of the wires pull out, and they don't. All right, main board. Dirty main board. So that pile of dust here, that's the temperature. That's a temperature sensor. It's one of them. So that, you know, this thing thinks it's running a lot hotter than it is. That's much better, and that's just the brush. Stinks like end dust. I'll just set that here. So here is the rest of it. This is where the ballast and power supply are under here. And I definitely don't want dust on those heat sinks. So let's pop these out. And this thing's like crazy overbuilt, in my opinion. Like, there are so many screws that, I mean, I guess they need to be there with what they designed, but I feel like they like overly designed this. And I know that sounds kind of silly, that can you really over design something, but for what it is, like, why do they make it? Why do they do what they do? I would love someday to be able to talk to an actual projector design engineer. There's so many little questions. I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment, but there's like, I don't know. If I started talking to them, they would come to me. Anyway, here's the ballast. It's mounted to the board under all that dust. This wire here is the 380 from the power supply. That goes up to feed the ballast. This wire here is the control for the ballast that uses 5 volts and some optocouplers to control it. Then this wire over here is the lamp output. We'll unplug that. And this is another 230 watt Osram ballast. It would be cross compatible with the other projector, with the PJ905, not the PJ930. But they're pretty much cross compatible. I think this might work in a BenQ also, but quote me on that. There's sometimes variance between these. A lot of times the connector will be different. This one has a pinch, like a latching connector, instead of just a plug-in connector. But this is going to have to be cleaned too. Just make a little bit of space here. Straighten up a little. I watched this this other channel with my wife. It's a cooking show thing called Sorted Food. I don't know if you guys... Oh yeah, Carl, we're gonna look at that. Yeah, we're gonna definitely look at that. That thing's insane. But anyway, my wife and I watched this thing called Sorted Food. You guys probably have heard of it. And the one thing the one guy always says, you should clean up in between when you're doing stuff, and I could not agree more. So straighten up a tiny bit. Get all the stuff ready for cleaning, I guess. So now, let's look at what Carl just mentioned. This guy here. In fact, yes, I should be able to unscrew it. Can I where's the other screw? Where's it out? Is that it? No, there's another screw. Pardon me. Let's get this little screw out. I want to pull that fan out. I want to look at this up close. So there's the shape of the fan. And I think if... Actually, that might be out. Let me see if that comes up now. Just might be stiff. Yeah, okay. So there's a little bit of plastic on the back. There's like a plastic heat shield thing. It's going to peel that off. There we go. Come on, a little more. There we go. Come on, vent. All right, so you guys are actually witnessing history. This, I believe, is the dirtiest blower fan that I can recall in recent history. Hands down. Yeah, Tyler, I think I might just have to call everybody about this. This is crazy. So all of that is dead skin flakes. It's human dander, pollution from cars driving by. It's just nasty, 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 nasty. So let's see how thick it is. Let's see. Wait, let's see if I can keep it from spinning first. Let me get my finger in the back. There we go. And now let's see if we can. It's going to come out like a. Nope, I thought it was going to maybe come out in one, kind of like that with the whole thing. Oh, this is so gross. Does anybody watch those like drain cleaning, the drain jetter guys like Drain Addict or any of them? If you do, this is kind of what this sort of reminds me of when they like cleaned roots out of a storm drain or sewer pipe or something. It's just so... It's gratifying to clean, like when you pull the plastic off of something. Yeah, Tyler, some of the LCDs don't either these days. It's weird. I think that they were looking at ways to save money. Surprise, surprise. But you do make a good point. There's definitely a lot more LCDs with filters than DLP for sure. Not having a filter in an LCD is definitely way more rare. Even the NECs that I've seen have had filters. I have seen some though without. There was, I can't remember, Panasonic maybe, but it's definitely a lower instance in DLP. And my guess is because of LCDs having all those extra special, polarizers and whatnot, need that extra cleaning. Yeah, extra clean air. Especially with the way they have it, comes up underneath the optic assembly. So there's most of it out. Now I'm on the back side. Wow. So I'm going to have to pop. I think I'm going to pop this open. Let's see if we can get this open without breaking too many of these clips. Because I think this needs to... I think that I might really want to get inside this. Oh, come on. This side maybe? There's going to be one side that's going to be easier to hold in the unclipped state. There we go. Must be that side. There's always one spot. There we go. Now, normally I wouldn't do this on a fan. I mean, I'll do it sometimes for demonstration, but normally I do not take these apart. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I kind of found the paintbrush, or embraced the paintbrush method a bit more recently. I always kind of just went for wiping it out with, cotton swabs or something, and then going at it with vacuum and air, but the brush just works so nice, in conjunction with the rest of it. So yeah, look at that. I'm surprised that lamp ran at all. Like that this thing didn't just explode, within minutes. And that lamp is a year old. So it did run. Something to be said for the design that they can actually run at all when it's like this. So that's loose too. So here is what I pulled out of that fan. That's what I pulled out of it. That's funny. And that's just the fan. We didn't clean the rest, the other fans or the inside yet. That's just this fan. I'm going to set that over here. I'm basically making a pile that I'm going to have to hit with air of some sort. And let's see. I'm going to save this temporarily. And maybe we'll keep piling it up. See how much we can get out. All right. So now let's look at that heatsink. That's the next thing that caught my eye. Oof. Oof. Love it. Love it. Love it. Trying to get all the big chunks out before I go for the, the general everything cleaning. That is on the switching regulator for the power supply. Man, back of the color wheel. I might really have to get into this. Like I didn't plan on tearing any of these all the way down, but the more we go, the more it's like, well, maybe I have to. Let's pop the Optic Assembly screws out. This has to come off. This is to help direct air across the heatsink of the Optic Assembly. Oh my goodness, and look at all the dust in there. Holy mackerel. That's insane. Let's see. Oh, I just got a message from my wife. Yeah, she did out herself. So Gior is my wife. So that's she gets all the inside jokes. I didn't realize you had the admin thing on there. I appreciate that. Thank you, dear. Without her, I'd be a mess. All right, so those three come out. Now I should be able to wobble and wiggle and finagle and pull this pile of mung out. Good gravy. What a pile of mung. The fellow who I talked to over there, I might have to save that pile of dust that I'm accumulating. Here, we'll set it there so we all can look at it, and it's, oh, no, you can't see it. There it is. So that's what I've pulled out so far from the fan and just generally inside the projector. Get that stuff loose. color wheel is inside here. It's sort of sealed, but I will name it George. George the Dust Grossness. So let's get the brush. We'll do the same thing we did on the other one. Oh my goodness, it's like inside the lens ring. Again, less is more. Although I hope the DMD is not bad. I don't, well, maybe I do have one. That one's different. So we'll see. I might. Although I gotta say, they're pretty cool. They, that school will, they've given me quite a few projectors. You know, when they're done with them, they're just like, hey, do you want these? So they'll just give me a box of projectors. I mean, they're not good. You know, it's like old 10-year-old Epsons and stuff. But, you know, it's nice to get parts out of them. Or recently I had somebody email me on the YouTube email, and they wanted to, had some questions. Long story short, they were representing a school that was like a charter school, so they weren't real, you know, flush with cash. So I donated a couple of the old Epsons to them, and, you know, it helped them out big time. They now had enough projectors to do their classes and stuff. So, you know, a lot of people who know me know that I'm the guy where you send your old electronics to when you're finished with them, because I will either find them a new home or I'll use them myself. I like to keep stuff out of the landfill if I can help it. So let's see. This is the color wheel. I guess we'll call it the color wheel area. I don't know what we'd call this. It's where the color wheel goes. And it is sealed, but it is dirty AF. So let's just brushy, gently brushy. And let me get my little puffer again. I'm gonna puff that with. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the video. Oh, you didn't miss much. I was just talking about a what was I talking about? Oh, the folks that have me fix these projectors give me their old ones a lot. This is a great demonstration of how well the puffer works in these situations. Amazon, like $8. See that fly out? All right. So that is better. I'm just going to kind of wipe it with my finger a little bit. But again, I don't want to go nuts. I can see the sensor. You guys can't really see it, but the sensor's clean. And the color wheel, if I give it a little push, feels good. Doesn't feel like it's dragging or stuck. So again, I think I'm going to leave well enough alone, at least for now, until I have a reason not to. So let me put these screws back in. And we will check the DMD like we did on the other one. Because of the level of dirt, it would, what's the word, behoove me to investigate that. Using my 2-bit word for the day. What the heck? What in the world? Why does this screw not go in there? What did I do? Some crud? Or did I pinch the cable? Ooh, I think I may have pinched the, I'm glad I didn't push. I think I may have actually pinched that color wheel cable. Yep, I did. So let's unpinch that before I make a big mess out of it. Ooh, that was lucky. That was really lucky, I think. We're going to have to check that cable. I may have accidentally damaged that cable. If I did, not a big deal. I do have some. But we'll check it. Actually, we'll check it after I put these screws back in. We can just measure the resistance, and as long as we have resistance across all the coils, it'll be fine. Color wheels are 3 coils. And you have A, B, C, and then they tie together. And then this is common. So we'll measure from here to here, here to here, here to here, and we should get 3 to 4 ohms. If we don't, then I'll need to deal with that. Now, if we measure from like A to C or A to B, we should get about 6 or 8 ohms because we're measuring through the coil. So if I damaged anything, it looks like it would have been the second, it looks like the 3rd wire across. So let's see, there to there. Come on. It's hard to hold it. All right, so 5, 5, and 5. And then if I move into one, yeah, it goes up to 8. So that's fine. That's fine. All I did was just kind of pinch it a little. I didn't, make a hole or anything. It's just right. Oh, there we go. Right there. It's just like a little divot. But, oh, hey, what's up, George? How you doing? Good to see you, man. I'm glad you got to make it to the stream. I'm glad we kept it going. So this is good. This will go back in after I tighten these screws back down. Let's put that last screw in. And that's actually a good way to check color wheel motors. You'll measure anywhere from 3 to, at least in my experience, anywhere from 3 to 6 ohms from each coil. If you get 0 ohms, there's probably a short. So let's set, oh wait, no, DMD. DMD, got to check the DMD. So this one, same idea. It has the single screw. Is there any other way to do it, really? So we'll take that off. Then, actually, I'm going to leave that stuck to it because we're going to take out these. Oh, come on. Come on, you little guy. Let's go. And let me zoom you guys out a little bit. This way. There we go. And just, dang it. There we go. There we go. I need to figure out a better camera. That's, ooh, I'm glad I did that. Okay, we have another bad DMD. And I'm pretty sure I have one. All right. So I was a little concerned when the heatsink wouldn't come off. Oh, man, thanks, George. You don't have to do that. I thoroughly appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. But, man, thank you. Thank you. That was very kind. I really do appreciate it. So when I was going to take this off, usually the heatsink will come off. But the fact that I love pizza, some good Greek pizza too, right? It wouldn't come off. It should just kind of pop off, but it's stuck on so bad, I'm guessing from the heatsink compound just getting so hot. So I gave it a little, yeah, there we go. Wow. There's some of that overly dry heatsink compound. Man. So there's the DMD. Let's see if we can see what got burned into this one. It's always tricky to figure out the right way to do it for the phone camera. But I'm seeing like an angled... Ooh, 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 ooh. You can kind of see it there. There's like a trapezoid shape. I can't really see what it said. Oh, it's a trapezoid shape because of the image correction, because it's an ultra short throw. There we go, Frank. Explaining yourself things. So this is bad. This has to be changed. It definitely has to be changed. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to release it like a computer CPU. Just unlatch it, and that'll lift out. Let me just knock that other crud out. And then there is the DMD. It is a 1280 6.4. Come on. Oh man. 6438B. Yeah. 1280, probably. It's a PJ 930. I think they're 1280. I think that's what that number means too. So do I have one of these is the question. Let's check the pile that I brought out first. No. Maybe the same one. Let's just see if that one's in usable shape. Sometimes these are hard to tell when they're bad. Yeah, and this is the same part number actually. This is probably out of a scrapped 930. Like I say, they give me stuff when they're done with it, and I'll scrap it down. This one's bad. Dang it. It's got a big burn-in in the middle. I do have two more though. One moment. All right, I think this one will be fine. This is one I haven't... Oh, no. Dang it, this one too. It's got little stars. Little stars right there. No good. This one, lots of stars. No good. All right. Now what's next? Let's see. Not that one. Not that one. What do we got here? No. One more. What do we got here? That one Benq. No. Not there. Ew. No. Not there. Ooh. Let's see, can I pull one out of this dead HD 146? Maybe. Let me just go check one other shelf. One moment. No, not there. Not there. Actually, I think I have a better option. I have an HD 33. The resolution's going to be wrong, but really I just kind of want to make sure it works. So let me do a quick straightening of everything. I wish I had a known good DMD for this. That's a little disheartening. I was not expecting so many bad DMDs. I shouldn't. I mean, I'm not surprised after seeing the internal condition of everything, but it's a little disappointing. I was really hoping I could just get them all repaired ASAP. What the heck am I missing here? Do I have this upside down? Let's see. That goes there. Okay. Oh, come on, fingers. This way. I wish I had a good DMD, though. That's a little disheartening. There we go. We'll go back to that. Set that here. Okay, bad DMDs are out of the way. Here's an HD. What do you got there? Let's see. Oh, you guys are talking. Got it. That's probably better. This way I can actually concentrate a little bit. Talk amongst yourselves. Anybody remember that? Anybody a little verklempt? Oh, and if you like cooking shows, check out Sorted Food on YouTube. If you don't already watch it, the Sorted Food guys are very entertaining. Big fan of Sorted Food guys. They have my wife turned me on to them. She always turns me on to the cool stuff. So they have a thing coming up next week, week after, 2 weeks. A live thing that they did a few months ago, which I really enjoyed, and they're doing it again. I think it was like $20 for the day or something. It's entertaining. So if you're into cooking, I definitely recommend it. So let's see if this DMD will work for, if it's the same one at least, or the same type. I'd like to at least confirm that that's all it needs. And you know what? If I have to get one, a 1280 by 800 is not going to be expensive. There we go. Did not expect having to tear this all apart on TV or on video, but wrong one. I was hoping it looked right from the side, but wrong size. Wrong size. Put it back. All right, so let's see. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and clean the rest of this. I'm going to do that for the rest of the stream. And then after we finish cleaning, I think I'm going to wrap it up because it is getting late. And I am at work, so there is a few work-related things I need to do on a Friday before I leave for the day. So that's what we'll do. And that'll help me stay more on track and not diverge too much. We'll get all the crud out, all that dirt. Remove those DMDs, and here's the all the bad DMDs. I guess these must be known for problems. This kind I know is known for problems, and this kind is known for problems. I see these more in TVs, or have seen these more in TVs. Not so much anymore since, you know, DLP TVs are pretty much, I don't know, if anybody still has one, it's got to be 15 years old by this point. So let's get these out of the way. I don't know what to do with them. Can you guys think of anything cool to do with these? I don't, you know, not quite sure. Let's see. Now let's get in here. Let's get this cleaned up. We got a bunch in here. Again, I'm going to get the paintbrush and just knock it loose. Just knock it all loose. I want to be careful with that mirror. These mirrors, wow. Hi, makes my head stretchy. If these get scratched, that's a problem. So you want to be really careful with those. I'm going to use a microfiber cloth to clean that once it goes back together. I'm not actually going to touch it right now. But let's get to this fan. We got that one. I can take it out. All right, good. Let's pull that screw out. And then we'll wipe that fan down. And then we'll put that right back in. Can I? Oh, 2 screws. 3 screws. There's a ground screw. Ground. And they holds the screw in place screw, or holds the bracket in place screw. So this is the assembly that is in front of that not filter opening. So you can see it was kind of made to work with a filter. So that's weird. I know, isn't that crazy? Actually, you're right, Tyler. Epson, they use so much of the same bulb. I think there's like two different bulbs. I think there's an E50 and an E54. Now, that said, on the much later ones, the 90 series, there's some Philips. But anything that was Iwasaki that doesn't have a Philips bulb is either going to be, I think, an E50 or an E54. And I think 200 or 250 watts. At least from what I've seen, you know, from the stuff that we get. But that thing's, wow, that's gross. Let's see if we can put that on our little plate of dust. If you give me $1, I'll eat it. No, actually I won't. I would not do that. I don't do dares for money anyway. I learned that the hard way. No, just teasing. All right, so let's just get all this loose. All this loose. Man. And just doing that, look how much better that is. So let me go. I'm actually going to whack that with the air compressor real quick. Much better. And then pull that away, get that crud out of the way. Look at it just piling up in there. That's insane. That just, the amount of dust in this thing is just really... I shouldn't be surprised. I've seen worse from them. Well, actually, no. That fan still wins. That fan is literally the worst I've seen. Pardon me. I have a picture of another blower fan from a PJ905, the black one, that was almost that bad, but not that bad. That one was just plugged. So now I think I'm going to, let me just hit this all with the paintbrush, and then I'm going to pop off camera and whack it with the air compressor and do it with the door open so I don't have to breathe all this nonsense. So 1 sec, I will be right back. Oh, it's a good thing I opened the door. The cloud, wrong way. There we go. Oh, I probably wouldn't see your order. I'm not quite on that side of things, but hopefully you used the code. And if you didn't, let me know and I'll get them to retroactively put the code on. Let's see. But yeah, let me know if you got the discount code or not. Because if you didn't, you definitely deserve it. So let's get let's look. Okay, it looks clean. Look at that. We can see actual colors. Like we can see greens and reds and silvers. And it's not just a nice. Okay, good. Man, this thing's looks so much better just like that. So let me put this back in first, and then I'll get those other things blown off, and then I should be able to start putting all the screws back in, and then I'll probably wrap it up because it is almost 4. Yeah, it's almost 4 Eastern time, and like I said, I got a couple of things I got to do before the end of the day. And being that it is Friday, I'm looking forward to getting out of here as soon as I can and seeing how G Orr is doing. We can hang out with the cats, and she can tell me to behave myself. There we go. And let's put this back in. This is the ground. This screw just ties the ground into the main power supply. I'll show you in a second. That just goes there. I don't know why they do it that way, why they pick that. Maybe for static. I'm not sure, actually, why they would do that. But it's good. So then I gotta... Ooh, let's wipe that off. This is that cover for the optic assembly. I don't need to spray that one down or, hit it with air. I'm just bummed that I can't put a DMD in it today. I'll have to do another one of these. I mean, I have a pile. You saw all the projectors. But let's at least get this stuff cleaned. Oh, you know what? Let me go do the fan. We can see what the fan looks like. So here's the fan currently. Wow. Man, I always wanted to go to Romania. I saw, I think it was Bald and Bankrupt went there, and holy mackerel, it was what a cool looking country. You don't hear enough about Romania, and I've always wanted to visit. One of these days I'll get there. I want to go to Europe, basically. I've only been, let's see, I've been to Canada, and I've been to, it's okay, dear, you can answer realistically, it's fine. I've been to Canada, of course, like as far as being out of the country, and I've been to Germany, and enjoyed it both times. The U.S. is great, but Europe is so neat. There's just so much history. When I was in Germany, I was in Stuttgart, outside of Stuttgart. And I went to a castle that was like 1,100 years old, and got to walk up steps that people have been walking up for 1,000 years. It was so cool. So there's the fan. After the fact, look at that. We can actually see the blades, and if I spin it, it'll actually move air. Amazing. It'll actually fan. When fans don't fan, it's bad. I'm not a fan of fans that don't fan. But I do want to go to Europe at some point. My family, like my background or my ancestry, my great-grandfather came here from Italy in the early 1900s, and they changed our last name at Ellis Island like they did for a lot of people. And he kept in contact with folks back in Italy, but then when he died in the 80s, that whole thing just kind of separated. And then a few years ago, my dad managed to track down our family in Italy. So now I know about all these relatives that live in Italy, and I want to go visit them. And obviously with COVID and the cost and all that stuff, we're not going anywhere anytime soon, but I do hope to go there at some point. And if we go to Italy, then I'm close to the rest of Europe. So if Jen's down, then, and I'm sure she is, we'll hit up whatever we can afford to hit up. because I just, it's just cool having all that stuff so close, you know, like here in the States. Well, Tyler knows, crud in Texas, what, it can take you a day to drive across the state, you know. I'm in PA on one side, it's 6 hours to get to the other side. But the fact that you can, you know, I could go, when I was in Stuttgart, I could go to France like in an hour. It was no big deal, just drive there. It was crazy. So anyway, let me go knock this out real quick. I really want to visit Italy. I want to visit Ukraine. I want to visit really all the Eastern European countries. I'd love to go to Romania. I'd like to visit Bulgaria. Um, I'd like to go to Belarus someday once it's not so weird, and then someday if Russia ever stops being, I don't know, stops making it seem like it's not a good idea to go there, I'd like to visit there too. But you know, someday. So let's see. So this is now clean. Ballast is clean. Of course, I really want to go to the UK. I want to go to. I want to take a vacation on a narrowboat. I want to travel up and down the canals. I want to just, you know, maybe start down in London and then go all the way up. That'd be kind of cool. I forget what the canal routes are, but I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to do. So yeah, I'd love to just, I don't know, someday when I'm independently wealthy, I'll, you know, we'll take like a month or two and just, you know, we'll go to the UK, start there, go to Italy. You know, here's my magic wand, or if I have unlimited money, we'll go to the UK, then we go to Italy, and then we see the rest of Europe, and then we eventually end up at Vladivostok, and then we go back to Alaska, and then come back to the East Coast. You know, that no problem. It would be fun though. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. I know sometimes people make jokes about driving from Texas to Oklahoma, and in theory, you could do it in 10 minutes, you know. All right, let me go clean this off. Then we're going to organize everything. Unfortunately, I can't complete it because I don't have the DMD, but we will at some point soon. But let me just go clean this off, and then we'll gab a little bit, and I'll get this all straightened up. And I'll figure out how to get my phone. The reason I can't move my phone is I'm actually powering it off my laptop. Otherwise, the battery would die. And I'm afraid if I unplug it and spin it around, I'll screw up the stream somehow because I didn't test that part. I should have tested that. But I got the comments working right this time, so go me. It's funny, I can do all this kind of stuff, but getting YouTube to work right is sometimes a bit of a struggle. All right, so that's all clean, that's all clean, that's all clean. We're clean. So let's look at what we have and what we have to do. So there's the projector body. This is my test keyboard. I'll set that out of the way. So the main issue is no DMD. The DMD, this one, no, this one. Yeah, this one. So that's the bad DMD. This is what I need another one of. I'm going to check with Crystal at Time and see if she can get me one. She's great. If you guys ever need parts and you can't find them in the States, GYDZ@timeprojectorlamp.com. Tell her I sent you. She's just great. Send a picture of the thing that you need so they can make sure you're getting the right thing. And then they ship with DHL, and they will take PayPal, so you're, you know, protected from any sort of, you know, if you don't get it or not, they're not gonna screw you over. Puff those HDMI and DisplayPort connectors. So that's good. We'll set that here. Our ballast is good. We'll leave that there. The power supply is good. The optic assembly is also clean right here, but I don't want this to fall off. So what I'm going to do, do I want to put that back on? No, I'm not going to put that back on. I'm just going to get a clean paper towel, and I'm just going to shove it in the back. That'll hold all those pieces in place. It'll keep more dust from getting inside, and it can live safely right here for the weekend. Then we have the metal piece. This is going to go back. This goes here. This is the, I didn't know what this was at first when I first started working on these, like why they had this metal on here. But it's to actually direct air through those vents to the color wheel. So I learned stuff. Then we have our lamp door screw. Now I don't want to put that in the box. Will that go in the lamp door? No. Let's put the lamp door screw. Oh, I know where we can put it. We'll put the lamp door on, because I may have to move this over to my shelf, but I think we'll put the lamp door on. Oh, actually, no, I want to leave that off because I can't put the lamp in with that on. I'm just going to put the screw in here so I don't lose it. A trick I use sometimes if it's like a single screw and I don't want to mix it up with other ones, I'll actually kind of start it back to where it came out of. Then you can't mix it up because it's where it's supposed to be. So that's good. So screws and DMD parts. Put that in here. Metal. Bad lamp. And what did we name this again? I forget what we named this now. What do we call it, Jen? Trying to look at the chat. If I look over here, I can see the chat, because then I can like, what did I do now? Jen, what did we call the dirt? Let's see, waiting for the comment. Now I get why when I participate in streams, oh, well, I don't want to call it that. Oh, come down. I'm busy. Yeah, I'm not calling it that. I'm going to call it something else, because this is a pile of dirt. I don't want to call it George. Sorry. We're going to call it trash. That's what we're going to call it. It's just gross dust. It's gross, dingy, dirty, disgusting dust and dander and garbage. So that's what came out so far. Or what came out all together that I could clump together. There was a ton that came out just by cleaning with air. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions or want me to go over anything real quick? I just actually had one of my coworkers try and barge in. So I'm going to have to wrap it up in a few minutes. But if anybody has any questions they want to drop real fast, I will be glad to answer them. And if not, I'm going to wrap it up in another minute or two. So let's see here. We were trying to think of a name for the dust, and I don't know why people, I do that too for some, maybe it's from, what was it? My Name is George. There was that Looney Tunes cartoon or something, I forget, but I do the same thing. You try to think of a name, it's like, oh, my name is George. It's a good name. I actually had a good friend in elementary school who was from Greece named George. Surprise. Let's see. No questions? Let's see. He can barely use a computer, Tyler. I wish. So, all right. Well, let's do this then. If you guys have any questions that you want me to go over in another stream, I could do a stream just on, on your questions. So if you want Either put them in the comments or email them to me, Frank at fixfrank.com. I couldn't get Fix It Frank, some dude out in the Midwest who does handyman work on it. But Fix Frank, Frank at fixfrank.com. You can email me questions if you want. But other than that, yeah, I think we're going to call it here. My coworker has a bunch of lamps that came in that I have to check out and see if there's any problems with them or if they're going to pass QC or not. So I should probably go do that so that I can actually go home and see my wife and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, I appreciate all you guys watching. I really do. This is really a lot of fun. Yeah, blah, blah. I'm no good at wrapping these up. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point. But until then, we'll just have to go with me fumphing around with my words and pointing things at the camera randomly. So everybody who's watching, I hope you have a great night, a great day, a great weekend. It's so cool having people from all over the world watching. Romania, Texas, Greece, the UK, Ukraine, USA. Freaking neat, man. Just really freaking neat. So you guys have a great night, great weekend, all that fun stuff. And as always, thank you for watching.